Hello, I am Avanti Shirsat and today I will be talking about the informal use lead-acid battery recycling at Agbogbloshie, Ghana. The scrap market at Agbogbloshie, Accra is a major hotspot for informal e-waste recycling activities. A significant share of used lead-acid batteries in Ghana are either exported as drain batteries or as lead scrap extracted from broken batteries. The vast majority of recyclers, including children, work without protection, breaking apart components with their bare hands and burning off plastic coatings infused with lead to recover copper wires. Black smoke from burning e-waste still darkens the sky above the Ghanaian scrapyard. High levels of heavy metal contamination have been found in soil and ash mixtures collected in Agbogbloshie. Lead is a potent neurological and cardiovascular toxicant that is responsible for nearly 1.5% of annual global deaths. The potential negative effects of lead are far greater for children than for adults. Blood lead levels at lowest measurable levels can compromise the reproductive, neurological, and cardiovascular systems. The impact of lead depends upon the extent and duration of exposure. High-dose acute exposures can cause gastrointestinal disturbances such as anorexia, nausea, vomiting, and abdominal pain. Lead is typically a cumulative poison. Chronic lead exposure can cause hematological effects such as anemia and neurological disturbances, including headache, irritability, lethargy, convulsions, muscle weakness, tremors, and paralysis. Lead exposure during pregnancy could affect the baby's growth as well as their future ability to hear, see, and learn. For this interprofessional assignment, my first professional was a mechanical engineer named Rohan from India. He advised an effective method to reduce hazards posed by the used lead-acid battery would be to encourage regeneration of lead-acid batteries, which can prolong its life significantly. The advantage of battery regeneration over regular recycling is a reduced carbon footprint incurred by mitigating the collecting, packing, shipping, and smelting millions of tons of batteries and their cases. Most importantly, it takes about 25 kilowatt-hour of energy to remake a 15 kilogram 12-watt 70 ampere hour battery and just 2.1 kilowatt-hour to regenerate it electronically. Another suggestion is to create alternative livelihoods for informal used lead-acid batteries recyclers, such as formally collect and sell used lead-acid batteries rather than carry out their operations even further underground. Facilities should be relocated to industrial estates away from residential areas. National policies should be implemented to give battery producers the responsibility for disposal of used lead-acid batteries and identifying contaminated sites. To make this sustainable, government action is needed to implement legislation and set and enforce standards that properly regulate the safe manufacture, usage, and most importantly, smelting of used lead-acid batteries. Professional number two was a banker named Mr. Anmol from India. Cutting taxes in the regulated lead-acid battery recycling sector is a great way to curb toxic informal battery recycling. These policy instruments can have an impact on the sector by reducing tax on regulated recyclers, offering subsidies to regulated recyclers, and offering subsidies to formal battery remanufacturers. This can help the business shift from informal to formal sector, which will result in lowering the lead pollution. Another way is to incentivize customers to return used lead-acid batteries to retailers so they can be transferred to environmentally sound recyclers. This will also make it illegal for consumers or retailers to dispose of a lead battery in a landfill or to provide a used lead battery to informal collectors or recyclers. Policies should be created that require informal recyclers to relocate to industrial estates and upgrade their operations to join the formal economy. The third professional was a university teacher, Miss Saili from Mumbai. Her approach was to educate communities and public about how to select appropriate batteries for energy access and how to return the used batteries responsibly. Provide training for healthcare workers and establish occupational health standards such as workplace limits and biological limit values. Children should be provided with high quality education to avoid child labor at the recycling site and exposing them to lead poisoning. Strengthen the health systems so they are equipped to detect, monitor, and treat lead exposures among children. This includes setting up blood level monitoring, pre and post remediation with referral and treatment programs for lead poisoned children. Educate workers and their families about the hazards of lead exposure. Identify contaminated sites by setting standards and providing guidance to local authorities. Once sites are identified, communities will be aware of the danger and will most likely start avoiding the site. Social media is an effective tool for this. The assessments of used lead acid battery recycling and the key takeaway messages include educating the workers and communities about hazards of informal used lead acid battery recycling. Quantifying the impacts of lead exposure and assigning them a monetary value can help to raise awareness about severity of environmental risks and a shift to formal recycling. Create and reinforce international standards and norms around recycling and transportation of used lead acid batteries. Connecting with different professionals for this issue of used lead acid battery recycling has helped in better exchange of ideas and interventions at each level to improve the effects of informal used lead acid battery recycling. Here are the references for this assignment. Thank you for listening to this presentation.